Right. And
Collab.
I think that growth is just awesome. Like,
Yeah, it's been I was actually talking to Richie about it before we started. I've wanted to grow for so long and expand, but it never quite, it just like wouldn't happen. And I think I had some things and some hurdles to get over first before the universe was like, okay, now. And the door's open. So here we go.
yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'd say, like, the question I've asked you before, but how is your technique, your skill, change throughout those experiences, and kind of where is it at today? And what do you like? What do you like to see? What do you not like to see? Like those details.
Yeah, it's like so funny because when you go to massage school, and I think this is totally valid, it's like a 50-minute protocol. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and that just teaches you how to walk through the body.
You got your playbook.
It's a playbook. But what's really fun is that it's evolved into, my own playbook, and no massage is the same. And I really do enjoy doing like therapeutic work. So I include Gua She and cupping and CBD in all my sessions.
Can you define Gua She?
Oh, okay, Gua She. Whew. Now, Gua She is amazing. And it's not like the same Gua She that you would use on your face, which is like all over TikTok and Instagram. This is a metal scraping tool, and it breaks up adhesions.
Is it like Graston?
Yes,
Okay.
It's Graston.
Got it.
Gua She is the Chinese.
Yeah, so Gua She is
Like
the
original
China.
G.
Yes,
Cool.
Yeah. Right.
It's
and they
awesome.
didn't use stainless steel. They used like,
buffalo bone.
yes. I wasn't like,
I was actually trained
Let's
with
get a
buffalo
set.
bone,
Let's do it.
yeah.
but I really ended up liking the metal.
Right.
Well, there's some resiliency there.
Yeah, it just felt easier to clean, and it just felt like it made more sense. And it's actually a really beautiful tool.
Yeah.
So I love using that because it's super effective and can just rip through a stuck area and get you more mobility really quick, way faster than my hands could. So that's why I just incorporate all that. And then I do a lot with cupping, and I include energy work in all of my massages because we're very physical beings, but we're also spiritual and we're also emotional beings. And I'm just not the type of therapist who focuses on the physical. I'm like, okay, so what happened prior to you not being able to turn your neck? Well, nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, let's dig a little bit deeper. What's your life been like?
Yeah.
And there's always a stress or emotional component.
Yeah.
And so bringing in the energy work to address that, and then I blend cranial sacral therapy with my energy work and just try to put people into that in between sleep and awake.
That's
And
nice
it's a
place.
really beautiful space.
Speaking
Richie,
of THC,
you're in that space right now.
Seriously.
That's more of a
Did that
violent.
giraffe just talking?
How's my scraping right now?
and that's great with the energy
better.
work. And we see it. We've talked about it before, just how emotions create physical stress on human bodies. And we've talked about
gosh,
and like
totally.
we'll send people to you of like, hey, you have some deeper emotional stuff that you need to work through. Otherwise, it becomes a roadblock for us to work in the physical state of a human.
And I love,
Absolutely.
like, as a patient, having the ability to, like, right across the hall or now a couple doors down, be like, because you guys talk about it all the time. We have limits. We know what we're great at, and then we're going to refer.
Yeah.
And to have somebody of your caliber just next door is like,
It's huge. It's a game changer.
so exciting. Like,
Well, and it's like super cool to always have a practitioner who's like, this isn't my wheelhouse, but I have someone for you. And I think for the patient client, they can look at you and go, they know what I need and are willing to like send me somewhere else to get me better. And it's just like, it's a true caring for them. And you're totally right. Like I can't put a rib back in, but I know when a rib is out. And I'm like, you're going to need to go see the boys and maybe see them 3 times in a row because sometimes a rib pops back out.
Yeah.
And that collaboration and chiropractic and energy work and massage together is just really the full package.
Yeah. Super cool. And the energy work has always intrigued me, like conversations that we've had too. And just the association that we see, like with different
Yeah.
like complaints and how it relates with like, oh, they're having financial stress, or they're having marriage stress, or they're having like work stress, and where it shows up in the body is just
Oh,
fascinating.
it's just so, it's the body is always trying to protect you to keep you going. So trauma is too much too fast. And sometimes when it is too much too fast, they're like, I'm going to put it in my low back and I'm going to hold there because I got to grit and keep going, because we don't really provide a lot of opportunities to slow down in our world. And your body's just trying to keep you going.
If, if there's viewers out there that are like, well, how do I know if I have this? How do I know if I need emotional work? Like,
You do.
I think
you
that's
do.
right.
energy work. Sorry, not emotional work, energy work. Like,
Same
what are
thing.
some like maybe signs that they would see? And like you said, everybody does. But for those like more curious about it and if it's a right fit for them, like what would they need to look at, or what would they need to see or feel? Like, or just follow their intuition?
I think if you feel called, that's like the first and foremost. Like if there's a calling, like I kind of want to experience that, or I'm curious what that is, or I feel like I have intuition. How do I get more in tune with that? Another telltale sign is just being in a trauma body. So whether you're in a fight or flight, freeze, fawn, whatever response that you're in, if you find yourself continually in it or continually stuck in it, that is such.
And like you can't get out of it.
You
Like,
can't get
I'm gonna
out.
go for a run. Like we talked with Kelly.
Or like you
I'm gonna
just
go for a
keep.
run and you can't.
You can't. Like you
just-
can't escape it, or you just slip into it every day. Or you shut down. Or I like to ask people if they feel out of their body. So what that might be like is, you're not anchored, and you're exist. It's almost like a slight form of disassociation. And when people get up from the table, they're like, now I know what you mean. I was out of my body.
Interesting. Yeah.
So there's just so many signs. But I also really think like when you experience grief, any sort of trauma, like don't wait for it to settle in and cause injury and cause pain in other ways that you don't need it. Just get on the table and nail it out. And that's why it's also so crucial to develop a relationship with a practitioner that you trust. So because life is going to hand you stuff, and there's times where you're gonna need more care than other times, but at least have somebody on your team that's gonna be there for you, instead of waiting until 5 years where you have an autoimmune or you have adrenal burnout, or who know, whatever's gonna evolve from not addressing those issues.
Yeah. Procrastination is the thief of health.
I mean,
There's a lot of thieves
Should write
out there.
on the wall.
That should be on the wall.
somewhere.
I have a
No, it's true.
question for all three of you. It just came to me, and I was sleeping just while you guys were talking, and it came to me in a dream.
Got into
he was
that dream
taking a
state.
nap.
Just
So, how do you individually in your modalities treat or approach trauma or emotion wrapped in physical trauma? Right. So, like I think of myself, and I have a bunch of like very traumatic injuries, and there is emotion stuck in there, 100%. And I've worked on them over years and stuff, but still there and comes out. So, how do you approach that? Do you look for it, and then like do you work together to accomplish that?
I'll start because mine's going to be an easy answer.
Okay.
My first thing, because I don't deal in that realm as much, I'm aware of it. But with that, it's trying to create awareness for the patient. Like, hey, did you ever have like a really bad accident? And
I love
It
that.
might take them a little bit, and they might be like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, tell me more about it.
that
And just
horse
having
kick
them,
in the
I think just having them talk about it is like, that's kind of where I leave it. And then if it's something like heavily layered, it's like, send them to Brett.
Right.
Or,
Yeah, but that's so beautiful because you're not imposing on them. You're allowing them to wake up themselves. So I love that. I love that.
so that's my route. That's
yeah,
my
I think that's
tactic.
similar because we know that traumas are wrapped up emotionally, and sometimes that's hard for patients to even articulate. They don't know how to like verbally talk it out.
Yeah.
They might have this engram in their brain, like, oh, like your grass memory, like you probably can smell the grass, you can feel it, you can do all that stuff in your mind, but to like speak it, that's super hard to do, I think, as like humans.
It is super hard, and we often downplay the trauma.
Yep.
So we,
That's no big
Well,
deal.
Yeah.
and to downplay, I think we both do this. You know, we tell patients this is like, you know, having them discuss it and let them know, like, hey, this is a safe space. Like,
totally.
go for it. Like, shut the door, have a box of tissues ready if we need to.
We won't make fun of you at all.
Yeah. And like, let them know that, like, this is a safe space, but also, like, these are normal. Like, these are normal emotions based off your experience.
And it's like totally normal to feel emotion when you talk about it.
Yeah.
And like the crying is really just your body trying to regulate and move the energy out.
Right.
And it's beautiful.
It's an energy leak
It is an energy leak.
through your eyes.
I'm like, let it happen. Sometimes people get a little teary eyed and it's okay.
I don't know what
Mitch, are
you're
you gonna
talking
cry yet?
Mitch has never cried.
about. I've never cried on this podcast.
Except 20 minutes into the first episode.
Yeah, Brittany hasn't seen the first episode. He
It was
cries.
great. It was a beautiful story.
It was. It was a good story.
Did you
story.
cry?
Yeah.
No,
You're going stone cold right now.
I'm high as hell.
It's the CBD.
You guys are still
Yeah.
sipping on your drinks, and
Yeah.
I'm just getting
You just
weird.
weird. It.
So, what
that's
about you,
our-
Britt?
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I would agree with the bringing awareness in, but I tend to gauge that on where the client is at. So my clients who've seen me for a while, who are like a little bit more like attuned to what I do, because I receive messages when I'm working. So it could be like sitting in the chair before you get on my table where I get information, and your guides or angels, whomever you want to associate with, will be like, blah, 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 blah. And then I'll be like, did so-and-so? Da, 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 da. And they're like, yeah. How did you know that? And then that leads into it. Now, also sometimes when I'm working on the body and I'm hands-on, then I'll get messages and then I'll bring it up that way too.
Sure.
Which it's more like intuitive led.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit different than maybe what they do, but in the same realm. Everything I do is I am led.
Yeah.
My room is all about being led. I don't question where I'm led. I don't question what I do.
But you have that skill set to do that.
Yeah.
Ours, yeah. Where ours is more like we try to lead them to people like you to
Yeah.
be led.
Yeah.
To be led.
I think in a parallel, like our skills as chiropractors, like sometimes we, like Dr. Fargo, he'll always be like, don't talk, let me figure it out for you. And so like that comes with time. But for us, like we have, like what we do is we're checking certain things, and we're not like asking the patient, but we're letting their body guide us a bit.
Yeah.
So I think there's some parallel to that. And there are some times when you like feel someone's hip, or you do like is your low back really bad today?
Isn't that like, I'm telling you, there's nothing more fun than those experiences, because people, they just want to be seen and they just want to be heard. And sometimes, like you had said earlier, they can't explain it. And so when that intuition kicks in and you're able to provide that, I think that's one of the reasons healers are gifted with that, is because it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a cool superpower.
Good question,
Thank you.
Richie.
Yeah.
Solid question.
Now be quiet.
Good.
Now take a nap.
Who are you?
I'm your healthcare provider.
It's professional advice. I'll take it.
Go take a nap.
Sure.